Nobody looks really alert.
Which packet are we on now?
We're not on packet right
Okay.
now.
All right.
We're talking.
We're ready.
We're ready. Okay, so I had a specific request to speak about parts dispositioning. The request came from all of our technicians, every single one of them, all of our tag team, our tech management team, and John Bowers. So apparently we're messing it up real bad.
Candace, I'm not in the meeting.
Hang on.
Still in the TP work?
Yep, I'll get you.
Okay.
Who's that?
Tatiana. Or no, that's Crystal Ramsey.
There's a horseshoe right there.
It was in my seat. And it looked uncomfortable, so I didn't sit on it.
Logic there. Routine laundry.
I got cushions, but I don't know for that.
Alright, so parts dispositioning. So apparently we're doing it not very well. If all those people decided to tell us that we were wrong. Okay? So in parts disposition you can do it in two screens. So you can do it in the pending technician completion screen, or you can do it in the call close screen. Okay? Call status contains
Call close.
I'm going to do it in PTC first, and then I'm going to do it in call close. So I have call status contains completion, and I'm just filtering it out to make sure that I get a pending technician completion ticket.
See how much slower Pam is in Clearview?
I don't know what you're talking about. How long can tickets stay in pending technician completion? I don't know.
2 hours? It shouldn't.
So a ticket can stay in pending technician completion for up to 24 hours with this new rollout. How many hours was it? 24.
24.
So it can stay, with the new rollout with the technicians being required to close out over the portal, it can stay in there for 24 hours. At hour 25, we are forced closing the call and no paying the technician. Okay? So, that being said, this is in pending technician completion and has been for since this morning. Thank you. And it has been since this morning. So this is one of our Huntington tickets. Why do we have a Huntington link?
12 was yesterday.
Oh, that's why. So it's been in there for over 24 hours. Yep, for over 24 hours, so we can actually force close this ticket. In order to do so, I have to call Huntington Command Center. They're not open today, but I'm going to show you the PTC screen. No, pick a different ticket. They don't have parts on this one. Really?
Did you scroll over?
I got a Hawaii call on PTC too.
Why?
Because I didn't follow, because I didn't go home and look up Hawaii when I got home last night.
Why?
Because I had one.
What happened in my work?
Showering or sleeping.
Sleep was very much necessary.
Lifing, she was lifing.
I don't know what that means.
I
Screenshot.
I know.
I'm aware.
I don't like when I can't see what I want.
I'm so full. I feel like I'm falling asleep.
Who's on?
Yeah. I'm throwing my pen at your head.
Maybe it might not, you know.
Okay, maybe this thing. That might not come. It's like There we go, break fix.
So we're looking at PBS call. That's still on PTC, okay? So you click on the pending technician completion screen. After you click the trip. So you click the trip and you click the pending technician completion screen. And you go through was technician reachable, blah, 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 blah. Does everyone know how to work the pending technician completion screen, or does anyone not? Debbie, do you know how?
Kind of.
Kind of. Okay, so it's really simple. Pending, this screen is really simple. It's, was the technician reachable? Yes. Was the customer reachable? Yes. Those are two mandatory questions, and they're mandatorily yes. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
Was the customer present on site? Yes or no? If you click no, it will grant this technician a trip charge, nothing more. If you click yes, he is still up for full reimbursement.
Was the customer reachable?
It has to be yes. Just it has to be yes.
So that it's always yes, there's never.
Always yes, because if I say no,
Then that's the end of it.
That's
And
it.
the tech doesn't do anything.
and if I trip close this, it
Well,
leaves it in pending technician completion
okay,
Oh.
so,
until we can reach the customer.
oh, okay.
Okay.
But what if we legit can't reach the customer? We still say yes and lie?
If you were able to reach the technician and the technician has a signed RFS, well, it's
That
perfect.
means-
So if the technician can confirm he was on site, customer and technician were reachable. As far as I'm concerned, they were reachable.
Okay.
Okay.
So the customer was reachable but not present on site just basically means we did call and confirm this appointment.
Right.
But what if something slips through the cracks and we did not confirm the appointment and he showed up and the customer wasn't reachable? Then we would close it that way, right?
We would close it as, was technician reachable? Yes. Was customer reachable? Yes. And was customer present on site? No. He would not be having a approved trip because we did not confirm with the customer. He did not call to confirm with the customer.
He did not call us to confirm confirmation. Okay.
Right?
Alright.
So, anyways, for sake, we're gonna say that he could. You would click the name of the person who he spoke to while on site. First and last, if you can get it, first is acceptable. If you have their contact information or if he has the contact information, you're more than welcome to put it in there. It's not mandatory though. So we're equipment and parts present on site. So this is also this is where the differentiate becomes between where was the equipment on site, so were the parts and stuff on site, or not, or was the customer unable, did they miss their appointment, right?
Just one thing, when you're closing them out for those people that seem to be doing this wrong, it's imperative that you explain to the technician that even if they had to go to the depot, the parts were still on site. We're confirming that whether he had to bring them there or they were there when he got there, that the parts are there. Because if you say no, because he thinks that he had to go to the depot, so that means they weren't there, it messes it up.
Can that question be more clear for when technicians close via the portal? We need to clarify that for technicians, correct, to prevent that issue. Since they close them tickets themselves.
So, I've worked BAM a long time, so I need to understand to what's not clear.
I've had technicians literally say, well, I had to go get the parts, so that's why they put no.
They were not on site. The parts were at a Whole Food Pickup Facility, which is not the site.
They're
So that question
So
is
they're
goes into
thinking
that.
literally, are the parts on site?
Yeah.
Did
I've
they
had
go to
several
site?
I've had technicians
And I can
answer this
understand why
wrong.
they would do that, because they're answering the questions correctly. It's BAM that is asking the wrong question.
Maybe it should say, did the parts go to site or did the parts go to depot?
Or were the parts available, I think is,
Were the parts on site or at the hold for pickup facility they were intended to be shipped to? Just make the sentence longer, I think would work.
Okay. We'll take it into consideration. We'll bring it to the team and we'll see what they think. Is that okay?
Yeah.
So were parts available present on site? Yes. Was the technician capable of performing the required work? So did he do everything he was supposed to do? Which includes calling to confirm with the customer, right? So calling us or the customer. In fact, their phone numbers are on RFS. So he could have called just the customer. We need to know one way or the other.
That's allowed?
Yes, as of last week, Mark Little wants all HP break fix techs to call the customer before going to site.
That's every contract or just break fix?
Break fix.
Okay, so we're talking only about break fix right now. Okay. Got it.
All contract. I wanna say that all the RFSs now have the contact information. Can you confirm this?
For HPPPS.
For HTTPS. So everything else has just the name. They don't have the phone number.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So was the technician capable of performing the required work? We always hope to say yes. If you click no, this section will not be paid. It will be marked as the technician did not complete. You will not be able to add it back to the work order. Okay? And he will not be paid. So we're always gonna hopeful for yes. Was the equipment damaged by technician? So obviously you know that this technician is about to be charged for parts. We need to make sure and confirm that they really didn't damage this unit. We're charging technicians $1,400 for printers that they never even touched. We gotta be really careful about this status, right, or this question right here. We can't just click. We need to really ask these questions either to ourselves or to this technician.
I have done that on accident before when I first started, where I charged a tech because I accidentally hit the, because I was just clicking down yeses. Is there any way we could do something to where when you click yes, it pops up and says, are you sure?
No. Why? If you're paying attention to detail, you should not have to answer this question.
So that doesn't happen to the techs.
If you're paying attention to detail, this should not happen at all.
Yes, but life isn't perfect. Things happen. So
I'll nip it in the bud. We shouldn't have to do this. Somebody put in a great idea. John signed off on it. That is in Comind. There's a task in Comind. It's a secondary, are you sure you want to do this? Because people
make mistakes.
are not paying attention to detail. It's not about even making mistakes anymore at this point. Because other than Brooke, everybody in this room has been doing this long enough to know what that question is, where it's at, and what it means. I know as much as we push you to hurry up and close tickets, you still have to have the common sense to just take your time and pay attention to detail on certain areas of work, and it's still not being done. So we are putting a second, are you sure you want to do this?
Okay.
that is a great idea.
We're gonna say no. He didn't damage the unit, and is the equipment repaired? No. We need additional parts. The site closed during a repair, additional trip needed. If the site closed during the repair and additional trip is required, ask yourself and this technician, did he fail because he went within his ETA and he lollygagged or whatever, and now he's required to go back to site for an additional trip because of his own fault? Or is it because, he got there within his ETA, he did his work, he was on hold with tech support for 45 minutes, whatever it may be, okay? And now they're closing, he's being forced on site. That's crucial because that determines whether or not we pay this technician, right? So in your script it says, if you fail to complete the job because of your own whatever, you will not be paid for the second trip, right?
Right.
It's in our script. So we just definitely, when you're in our PTC screen, keep that in mind that if he did it because of himself, he's not being paid for the second trip. Okay.
I have a question about that. I don't know if you remember, I had a ticket where the tech went to site and they told him, they confirmed the trip. They told him, we're too busy right now. We don't have an area for you to perform this repair.
Mm-hmm.
But he went to site. How would you close that call?
The next
So, and then you get a trip charge, right? Okay, alright.
I have a question about that. Is it a trip charge or is it full is it full pay?
We can see. I can reconfirm. I'm pretty sure it's a trip charge, so
I thought it was full pay.
we'll see.
Okay.
I can double check.
When the techs are in the portal doing this,
Uh-huh.
they're answering the same questions.
Exact same question.
So if it says, was equipment damaged by tech, and they click yes, I don't feel sorry for them.
No, and just to reiterate, the memo that went out to the techs, and it goes out every single day, is that when you are closing these tickets, my specific wording was, do it when you're not rushed, when it's quiet, you can take your time, because whatever you choose is what's standing. We're not reversing any more penalties. We're not reversing any more fees. And that's another reason I want to just stress to you ladies is that it's just, I know that y'all get the automatic emails that go out about dispositioning parts, and y'all get the emails from me, and you hear John screaming about it all the time, but it's just truly so important that these calls get dispositioned right. Think about if you're married to that technician. That technician went to site, he did every single thing right, and an agent sitting in there eating her Cheetos and talking to her neighbor accidentally clicks the wrong button. It's not as simple as just submitting a help. There's got to be verifications, there's got to be deep dives, there's so much work that goes into reversing a penalty, and these technicians are getting charged thousands of dollars because we're not paying attention. And I know that it's a mistake, but you just have to think about if that was your husband, he did everything right, he left that job, did a 100% perfect job, and he got charged. Not only did he get charged $2,000, $400, $800, he got charged that, and he's not getting paid for the job that he did perfect. But whenever, after it's all said and done, and we realize, oh, we screwed up, the tech did great, it could be a month or two. Think about holding somebody's money a month. Really think about this, ladies, when y'all are closing these calls. Really, really just take your time. Pay attention to these questions. I can't stress to you enough just how important this is. Like I said in my email the other day, Thani, you come to work, you sit down, you do your job perfect every day, but when you get up to leave, somebody's at the door saying, give me $400, you can't leave. Not only are you going to give me $400, I'm not going to pay you for your day of work. That's not fair. It's not right. And those techs do get frustrated, and they do get mad, and then they have a bad taste in their mouth. And yes, we're human. Yes, we do make mistakes, and we are trying to put in fail safes, but if there's just one thing that I could ever beg y'all to do is just please, please pay attention to when you're dispositioning these parts. It might take 2 extra minutes to go slow and do it right, but you just don't understand how important it is to do it. It's not really a flip of a switch. It's not just, oh, I accidentally charged him, let me now uncharge him. It's not that quick. And these techs don't deserve that from us. We expect them, even though 80% of the time they might go out there and screw something up, or we still do have the techs that are doing it right, and we're treating them wrong because we're not taking the time to answer these questions properly. I'm sorry, I rattled. It's just so important. Y'all just don't know how important it is. I hear these technicians, and I know on the back end in my office what I have to go through, the weeks of researching and getting authorizations and getting finally, you know, it's just so important, ladies.
And it's not just that too, but it messes up with the partner, especially for HP Break Fix, because if they disposition the parts wrong, then I can't close the tickets out, and then it gets kicked back to me for 3 months, and then the partner is mad.
Yeah, I mean, it affects more than just the technician. It affects a lot of the agents on the floor, but I mean, and it is frustrating, and it's equally as frustrating, but just think about if somebody was taking your husband's money from him. You know, think about that. Just think, I know on our end, I know it's frustrating, but just think about money. Think about those technicians and their families. Just think about that, please, when you are closing a ticket, please. Okay, I'm done.
Just another question. When that is answered incorrectly, is there a way in the system to show whether the technician closed it out or it was an agent that did it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's kind of where every help desk ticket that comes through, like ultimately Michelle sends me a report every month of
But I have a question.
Employee improvement.
When HP, when the unit goes to the depot, which one of those do we choose again?
What do you mean?
Like if the unit is gonna be depot, we can't close it out, like, which one, it's the option under that, reason for equipment not repair, which one do we choose?
It should go all the way down to the bottom.
The additional trip,
So
no additional
trip,
parts.
no additional parts.
No, that's
But wouldn't we get another?
We don't do depot.
No, like, I know, but sometimes when we're closing it out, the customer said, well, the unit is getting depoted, some of them.
Through HP.
But when we're closing it out, what do we close it out as? If they're sending their unit to HP for repair, but we had technician go, what do we close it out as?
Do you know this one, Candace?
Can you read
Actually,
it?
I don't.
Can you
I've
read
never
them
come
to
across
me?
this
No.
Because I can't see them from here.
With that one, you would put it as, that it is not repaired fully functional, and that you would close it out as an additional trip is needed with no parts.
But we'd get a subcase, wouldn't we?
Right, but then at HPC, then you would just put in there canceled due to customer, or customer cancel, whatever, and they know
Partner
that there's,
cancel.
you would put in a note in there saying it's being depoted, or HPCE, or whatever the case is, and then you would close it out, but you have to make sure you put that it was not fully functional, because if you put that it was, then,
So we
They
get
don't
a
know it's
repair,
a-
but still, which
Right.
one do we choose?
But they won't open the subcase if
The
you
last
have that,
The last one.
if you
They
have that
will
memo
open it.
in, they won't open the subcase, is what you're
they
saying?
will,
They'll open
sometimes. Sometimes, but you can
Okay.
simply put a note in the new subcase that says, sent to depot or HPCE, sometimes they'll send an HPCE, whatever the reason is, and you just put customer cancel, it'll go to pending customer cancel, and they'll read the notes and they'll know why they canceled it.
Okay.
But when we cancel that subcase, is HP gonna get charged for that?
Mm-mm.
No, they opened it,
Okay.
no, they opened that, not us.
Okay.
So that's their fault for not looking at the closing dates.
Yeah. It's well, not technically, it's not their fault, it's automated, it's system automated.
Okay.
When you choose that, that automatically pops up the little blue box, if you need parts, and if not, it's into that little paragraph. But HP, when they get it, you just hit customer cancel, every time they get a customer cancel, they look to see why it's being canceled, and they cancel it.
Okay, so, going with this, you have trip summary, does anyone tell her that he's here? Okay, I would assume that she knows that. So over in this box, the trip summary box, is where you're gonna have your travel start time, your check-in time, your site checkout time. So your travel start time cannot be before your scheduled ETA. Your site check-in time has to be 10 minutes after your travel start time and cannot be before your scheduled ETA. Site checkout time has to be at least 10 minutes after your check-in time. Please be careful of your dates. We charge people for 24 hours all the time, and it's super fun. I don't know if you guys have worked with Mr. Solis lately. He's Peach. And this is really starting to become a problem. There is a fail-safe that we have later in the ticket, but we do want to stress the importance of making sure that you're paying attention to detail. Okay?
I know, and this is going like in the past, you would have certain partners who would say, okay, I need this unit, like, or say for instance, the tech's on site, and they have 2 printers that are needing to be worked on. And we talked to the partner, and the partner says, yeah, go ahead, have them work on it. In the past, way before your time, Miss Debbie and them might know this. So they would have the technician who'd be authorized to work on it, but we wouldn't have the paperwork yet.
Nope.
Can't do that now?
Nope. I need a ticket for serial number. Yes. You can also see all of these details, so it's RFS uploaded date, you guys have already done it. We did it yesterday. It's received, his rate's 55 per trip. If ever you need to see the download RFS so you can close out the ticket without having to talk to him, there's a button. The send technical support, it's a new button. It's a beautiful new button. Need technical support, it'll send an email with him and the technician. That way it says call.
Okay, can we go over that again? Download RFS is so you can download the RFS in case you have any closing questions that you'll need to answer.
Yeah, so if I download this RFS in the PTC screen, He's already uploaded it, right?
Yeah.
So it's gonna give me just like a normal downloaded RFS.
It's like the config pages and stuff.
Well, it's gonna give me what he
Yeah.
thinks is a downloaded RFS.
Can you read that?
Huh? No, I can't read that.
Well, I mean, at least he,
He tried. He did it. He did exactly what he was supposed to do. He downloaded it, he uploaded it, and everything else. He did what he was supposed to do. Okay. So he like just whatever.
I have another question.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if they have a scheduled ETA and like for break fix, they call the customer and say, I can be there at 8 o'clock instead of 10 o'clock, is that okay? And the customer says, yeah, but in our system, we still have them between 10 and 12, and he tries to close it out with us.
But you gotta let us know.
What if he doesn't?
Well, if he doesn't, then we gotta false his times to where it looks like he went when we said he went.
Okay. So that's fine to go ahead and just put the times for
Within
the
his
scheduled
ETA.
ETA for?
Within
Because we
his
still wanna pay him, he did what he was kinda did what he was supposed to do.
Okay.
well, some of them you can't schedule before 8 a.m. So,
Right.
for non
Right, so, the send email, the send mail, it's mostly when the technicians are checking out on their phone, right? So it's a send mail to text support, new tech support systems. They've been holding, they're closing their ticket out, it shoots tech support an email, and it says, hey, I need parts.
That is fancy.
Isn't that fancy?
Wait, so that's beautiful.
It really is.
Can you repeat it? You know, like things to be said twice for some reason, because I was, huh? In this instance, 3 times, please.
Okay, so this is mostly for when a technician is closing out over his portal, right? He's been holding or whatever, he's starting to check out over the app or the portal or whatever, it gives him this option. So he completes his times, and it says new tech support, it's gonna send email. And it sends our tech support agent an email that says, I need help.
Is it on the
So we
notes? Is it under like a tech note?
Yeah.
That it shows that he requested it? Okay.
So then he doesn't have to wait in the queue at that point, correct?
Did what he was supposed to do. Okay. So, do you see the advantages of them checking out over themselves? Isn't it great? So wonderful. So, contact by tech support is he said that he spoke to tech support, you don't see a note. But yes, who'd you talk to? Chris Rance. Extension 620. Okay? Blah, blah, blah. You click next. Click next. Here's the fun part, okay? Here's our parts disposition. Not installed is either canceled or unused. No, I take that back. So installed is always used, right? If you installed it, it's always going to be used. Not installed has lots of options. We're going to go through the options. Good and used, which means the tech was, this means that the part was not installed into the unit. Good and used, the part was never installed. The technician does have possession of the parts and will be returning it. All good and used parts are returnable. Clear? So what we would do is so if it says good and used, return status yes. If he already has his return tracking number, tell him not to use that one. Because guess what? Return good and used labels are different from the used labels.
Oh,
Make sense?
yeah.
You didn't know that?
I think that I learned that maybe on training day 2 and forgot.
So, return good and used labels are different than used labels. So we need to tell them, unless it says good and used label, because HP does send multiple labels, right? So they send a good and used label, they send a defective label.
Oh, I knew that. Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I was thinking something else.
So they send multiple labels, but if he does not have a good and used label or one clearly defined, he needs to request one from us.
Of course. No,
On his portal, he needs to request a return tracking number. So the next one that I have is wrong part order. wrong part ordered is when the technician was on site, he determined a different part is needed rather than the one that is ordered. So for this one, it says HP break fix part. I don't even know what that is. What's this say?
It's a motherboard.
Sure. So it says that.
My whole bag.
Oh, yeah, motherboard.
So it's a motherboard. He says no, that's the wrong motherboard. It was supposed to be a power supply. That would be the wrong part ordered, right? The technician should request a label on his portal for the wrong part ordered. Okay, because it's again different than the defective core. So the wrong part shipped is where our vendor is at fault. And so we ordered the right part, and he's like, no, I opened this box, and this is a fuser. Not that you would need a fuser for a motherboard installed, but that's what it is, okay? And so he's like, no, I opened the box, and it's this. Have him take a picture, the label, what's inside the box, and have him request a label from his portal and send it back to us. It'll then go into additional parts. We'll reorder the part and we'll reship it out to him. But that's the gist of it. Canceled is when the part was never sent to site, and due to it not being necessary, the customer requested to cancel the call. So tech never has possession of the parts. It was never sent, never shipped, completely canceled.
I have a question. I've noticed that when things are canceled, when I get to my parts details, it already says not installed, canceled.
It should.
Okay.
But there are instances where HP does not put in there that it is canceled.
Right.
Okay.
There are instances, additionally, if we messed up and we click the cancel call button and the parts are dispositioned incorrectly, we need to make sure it doesn't say canceled. Okay, so that part does, that technician would need to be charged for the part if he's not gonna return it. And he has possession of it, does that make sense?
Okay.
Clear?
Sorry. So if the call is canceled,
Yeah, so when we cancel that call, it automatically cancels the parts.
what is that noise?
It's your chair.
So it automatically cancels the parts as soon as we hit that cancel call button. But that's not to say that that technician didn't go to the HP pickup hold facility
Yeah.
and pick it up already. So
So how do you fix
in
that?
the closed so we would go ahead and just position the parts correctly
Okay.
As tech never in possession of part.
as tech never.
Okay.
Not necessarily tech never in possession of parts if he had them, if we picked them up and he was headed to site
Right.
and they canceled it. Those would be good of use, right?
Okay.
So we have to disposition those parts correctly. Now the issue with pushing the cancel call button and HP tickets is that once you hit the cancel call button, you can only hit it once and it doesn't move. It automatically cancels those parts. And a help desk to go have to be submitted at that point. We have to charge the tech for the parts, we have to return them.
Okay.
So in turn, we get charged for those parts.
And at what point, I saw that question in the piece of paper. So at what point is the difference in a break fix call between canceling it and closing it?
So the difference between canceling a work order and closing a work order is so canceling a work order is when a customer says, no, I don't need service, or a customer or partner says no.
Okay.
We no longer need service, blah, 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 okay? Closing a work order is different because we have either worked on the ticket. We're not gonna cancel a work order where we have open parts and open trips because we've done work, right?
Yeah.
So we would actually close that work order.
So we can close a work order due to partner or end user request if we've done work on the unit, correct? Even if that's phone triage?
If you have open parts or open trips. So, how do I define this?
Yeah, that's where I'm kinda
Well,
like.
I mean, like, it's defined very clearly. A canceled work order is a canceled work order. So someone said, you suck, go away. Or they said, you know what, service is no longer needed, blah, blah, blah. And a closed work order says that we've done work on the trip. So we've done work on
Yeah,
the
but
ticket.
can't they be both? That's what I'm confused at.
Mhm.
Because if we've done work and then the partner says, cancel it, we don't want it anymore.
It's not a cancel, that's a close.
That's
That's a
closed.
close then.
Yeah,
Okay.
we've done work.
Does that make
Cancel
sense?
is if we
Yeah.
haven't done any work whatsoever.
And that's what I put on my paper. I just want to make sure that I was correct.
Cancel means no money, close means money.
Well, they-
Yeah, and that's why my question
Right,
is,
so
if
we
we've done
would-
phone triage.
So the backstory behind that, and that's why it was a question,
Yeah.
is because, I feel like, and the way that I became a CRS that knows this business, knows it very well, is because I wanted to know why, the backstory behind why. So I kind of feel like that's where my questions came from, is to know if you know why we do the things we do. So we cancel work orders, because someone told us that service is no longer rendered, right? But when we click that cancel call button, we're only billing a cancellation fee in any parts that are listed. So any parts and trips that were already listed, we're billing a cancellation fee and then time and materials, right?
Yeah.
So if we close a call, we're billing correctly. We're billing for all of the time, all of the effort. If like for Assurant or for HP, we bill by the case. So if we cancel those work orders and they're not correctly canceled, we're not getting paid correctly. We're getting X amount of money as opposed to triple that, right? So we want to make sure that we understand the difference, that in order to, if we've done service, so we've triaged it, we've assigned a technician, we've done whatever we got to do, we're going to close the work order correctly. If we haven't done those things, we're going to click the cancel call button and we're going to cancel it out.
Can I?
The same
Go ahead.
goes in when there's a duplicate ticket, because sometimes they'll accidentally send a duplicate. Make sure you do cancel and not close,
Right.
because
Well,
some people close out, and make sure you close out the right one.
okay, so I know I have a lot of questions. I apologize.
I don't.
But okay. Apologize for when you have questions? Okay. Anyway, okay, so this is where I'm still a little bit unclear. So if we get a ticket and HP triages the ticket, right? So HP orders the parts, right? Perfect. So we don't do that. But our dispatch team has spent time dispatching an agent, or
We
what?
have a tech assigned.
If we have a tech assigned, then we close it, don't cancel it, right? But if we don't have a tech assigned because they didn't actually,
They didn't do anything. As far as HP is concerned,
if they
If
didn't
the tech
assign
is
it,
not
they didn't
assigned.
do it.
we didn't do it.
So you cancel if we don't have a tech assigned. And it was partner request. Okay. And the rest of the time, we close. But if it's a duplicate and we assigned a tech, we still cancel because that was our bad, we should have caught it?
That's what that list is. If you look in your folders, in your email, it'll say duplicate subcases, and it'll put both cases next to each other. And that's why it's important that everybody checks your stuff. You should, they're linked. Literally, it's on the face where it'll have the number before, and if you have two of them in pending dispatch, check the serial numbers, check the scope of work. If it's for the same thing, it's the same ticket.
I don't know.
And
I
make
don't
sure
have
you close the right one. Definitely make sure you close the right one.
Always close the oldest.
So the
I was
wrong
saying, how
part,
would you know
so
the
we're
right
clear on
one?
wrong part shift.
Always close the oldest one.
But yeah, always close the, but
That was-
sometimes they'll assign a tech to the older one, and that's.
And I just move them.
Yep.
So
Not-
everyone
not
clear on
really,
wrong
so.
part shift
Yes.
and cancel. DOA. This one's one of my favorites. Dead on arrival is what it stands for. So technician has possession of the part, however, upon installing it, it did not work. The tech should then request a return label via the portal and is required to submit photos to 8310@barrister.com. If they do not submit photos, they are liable for that part. We have to have pictures of that part, and what I recommend as far as pictures, it in the box, it out of the box and installed, and the error message of what it's not doing.
Okay.
Okay, so I would go with those basic 3 pictures that need to go to our tech support agents. And when you mark it as DOA, the vendor's supposed to get an email when we mark parts as DOA, and that says, hey, you messed up. They then have to reimburse us for that part and send a new one.
So picture in the box, picture out of the box, picture installed with the error message.
Right. So,
Kelly, I have a question.
Question on your
what's
screen.
that?
damaged parts?
Damaged parts should come, well, damaged parts would fall under
That's a-
exception.
That's a good one.
They would?
They would fall under exception.
Does it depend on who damaged it?
If they get, having worked in logistics, they get damaged during shipping.
Like,
You know,
yes.
you send a
It's
fuser
just footballs.
and they open the box and it's in pieces. The vendor didn't ship a DOA part.
That's true,
It got damaged during shipping.
Okay, so DOA means the vendor shipped a bad part, not that,
DOA means the tech installed it and it did not work.
But so what difference does it make why it doesn't work? Whether it got damaged in shipping or whether it came from the manufacturer?
Because UPS could be at fault.
Yes, exactly. If it
Okay.
gets damaged during shipping, it's not the vendor's fault. They shipped.
So they're not liable for the replacement part.
Exactly.
Now, do we go back and we charge UPS? Do we?
Yeah,
We do,
yes.
okay.
It's all
Yeah.
covered under insurance.
Okay.
That is Peter's question.
I don't have a
If
question,
it's
I have a
damaged in
statement.
shipping,
If
we
you
also
get
get
a
pictures, right?
run on DOA parts, please let somebody know. That means somebody went into the warehouse, usually Homeland Security, with some kind of magnetic thing checking all the boxes. And all these boxes are, all these parts are magnetized. It ruins every part.
Especially when you're doing parts like Guam and all that stuff. It happens all the time.
All the
So
time.
if you get a run of DOA parts, you say like
Yeah.
a bunch in a row?
Yes.
Yeah, like during, say, within 5 business days, you get 10, 12 parts that are DOA. That means they went into Memphis or wherever the,
Yeah.
what do you call it, the hub is.
Yeah.
And Homeland Security went through and all the parts are gone.
And who's reliable for that? Nobody, huh?
Nobody.
It's covered under insurance for shipping.
Nope, but it won't do us any good.
And that's only for PPS, because they're the only ones, I mean, the vendors, I don't think our vendors have to do that, where Homeland Security goes in.
No, that's all UPS facilities.
All UPS and FedEx
Yeah.
facilities.
So like I'm saying, that's basically PPS, because for our vendors, they don't ship to depots, they ship directly to the sites most of the time.
Right.
No,
We're
this
saying
is
no, but
not
they're
the
talking about
depot,
the hub.
this is the hub.
This is a hub, so it's got to
All
stop
of the
somewhere.
parts.
But
Yeah.
it's attached to PPS, that's who normally sends parts to depot locations, correct?
No,
that's
you're
not a
understanding
depot.
is that we're not talking about a depot.
The whole-
So you send a package from one state to another. It doesn't stay on one truck the whole
Yeah,
way.
they have, like,
They
layovers.
have. So we're talking about it's sitting at a station, getting ready to board on the next truck. Homeland Security comes in and starts checking everything to make sure there's no bombs or liquids or perfume. And it,
It's more, yeah, it's more often than you would think.
I know definitely that happened in Hawaii.
especially during the holidays.
But-
Where she was getting all the
So- so-
parts.
Alright, roll it back in, please. So that would be marked as exception, okay? In warranty is not a status that I use, not a status that I think any CRS should use. Do any of you currently use in warranty?
No.
Great. Do any of you use missing disposition?
Not anymore.
Wonderful. So in the tech never in possession of parts,
Okay, I do have a question though. If the technician goes to site and spends an hour and a half with the end user looking for the part, it's not really fair to give him just give him a trip charge and send him on his way. So when we, right, I know we tag in possession of part, never in possession of part. But when we're dispositioning that at the beginning of it, because it's not fair to give him a trip charge, we can still give him full pay for his trip. Is that? Because he did what he was supposed to do.
Repeat that question, but a little quicker for me. I want to really pay attention to it this time because I think I have an answer, and y'all know I get excited whenever I got the answer.
If a technician goes to site, I called the end user and they said, yes, we confirm ETA, we have the parts on site. Tech gets there, nobody can find the parts. The tech's there for an hour and a half trying to help the end user track down the part. Does he just get a trip charge at that point, or can you give him full pay? Because he's been on site for an hour and a half. He's done everything in his power to help them locate the part.
The business side of me says give him a trip charge. You as the CRS should have pinpointed where that part was for that technician before he got there. So there would be no ifs, ands, or buts about it. My heart says yes, but we're running a business. So
Right.
$25, and you as the CRS should have pinpointed the part for him.
But what I'm saying is the end user confirmed they had the part before.
Because there are some
Yeah.
businesses where they have to go through security and everything, and they'll say, oh yeah, they have it in logistics or wherever.
But since we see that this is a common theme, then we say, hey, no, Mary, I need you to make sure that this part is under the first desk at the first, you know.
I have too, and I've had customers tell me, yes, we have it on hand, and lie, so I'll leave them alone.
Well,
Well.
A lot
why
of
is
them
that
send them
technically
to the
for now
mailroom to pick up the
for a
parts.
part?
We should
As
let,
soon as the customer, if you've done your job, right, and you've said, all right, hold on, technician, let me confirm everything with this customer, which is what your script says to do. And you confirm everything with your customer. And you say, Mary Jo, I just wanted to confirm that you have your parts in hand. And she says, absolutely, they're right next to my desk. She could be lying. I don't care.
But we've had that happen before.
Wait.
Okay.
And you go back to your technician. And you go back to your technician and you say, okay, technician, Mary Jo says she's got the parts in hand. You just need to go on floor 11 and pick them up from her, and then go back down to floor 5 and go and work on whatever. So you've already said that. You set that expectation. When he goes to site and he goes to Mary Jo on floor 11, she doesn't have the parts. The first phone call he should have made is, this lady doesn't have her parts. To which you get on the phone with the customer and say, Mary Jo, you said that you had the parts. I need you to locate the parts in the next 15 minutes. If not, I am forced to take my technician off site due to a customer delay not confirming your parts.
okay, and that's, can I ask a question? Just because I recently dealt with a situation where a tech went to site after they said they had the parts, and then he goes to site, they didn't have the parts right away because they had to get it from internal IT. He waited 3 minutes, got aggravated, and left.
No, he has to be on site for 15 minutes anyway.
Right?
So no.
Okay, right?
So yeah, why he shouldn't have been paid? He didn't do his job.
He wasn't paid.
He should have been no-showed too.
No, he shouldn't have been no-show. He just should have been.
He was no paid.
He
No
went
paid.
to site.
But I just want to
No
make
show
sure.
looks like we never went
15
to site.
minutes.
So in the eyes of a customer, looking at our PTC screen, right? Like so looking at what they can see. Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now?
Drop and dial back.
Hello.
So if a where am I trying to talk to?
It's tech not complete instead of,
Oh,
okay.
so right, so like if
No
a
shows.
if we mark a technician as a no-show, they can actually see that and they say, hey, you weren't actually on site. We report that the technician did go to site. We made an SLA. We tried.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
I got you.
So a no-show is better than a no-show on the eyes of a customer. We did our job. We got the tech there. Can't control the tech. And do a good job of it, but we did get it there. Okay? I think there's one more. So part shipped to the wrong address. Welcome to AIG.
Yeah. Right? No kidding.
I love that account so much. So, but we have so many part issues and part shipped to wrong address. This was created. So part shipped to wrong address would mean that we did not ship it where it was supposed to go. It was either supposed to go to site and it wound up at a depot, and we can't get the tech to go get the depot, which should be only till 5 miles. Or the part shipped to Egypt, and we are in North Carolina.
How many miles away you said it's supposed to be?
25.
Is that with AIG?
With AIG?
Because with break fix it's 50, right?
No, it's still
MES
25.
is 50.
MES is 50.
MES is 50.
AIG is 25?
AIG is 25, and break fix is 20.
No,
25.
break fix is
What?
Break fix is
25.
25?
What about Brandy's wonky break fix? The TC? The HPTC?
Yes, that's
Yes.
a break fix.
That's not break fix.
Why does it say break fix in the contract? Just saying.
It's a,
It's Says
break
HPTS break
fix,
fix is
but
what?
it is a server break fix, so it
Okay.
has nothing to do with regular break.
Okay, so what are the I need to know the miles on that, because they're shipping parts like 40-something miles away.
I can find out for you.
Thank you.
And that needs to be changed to HPTS Atlanta.
It does.
Yes, it does, because it's really confusing for me. Sorry.
It's confusing too when you're
And then when you
in the queue and you're like, oh, it's a break fix ticket, and it's not.
and they got that 4 hour, the
Mhm.
4 hour on site, that,
So we're gonna go with these parts.
Can I ask, I got a question about the parts shipped to wrong site. Does that take effect too when HP forgets that there's like suites, and so it just sits in in UPS La La Land for 3 days before it goes back? Does that,
5 days.
would that be closed out as part shipped to wrong address too?
Break down your question.
So HP seems to forget that people have apartment numbers or suite numbers, floors, buildings. So they won't put it in the delivery instructions. So when UPS tries to deliver it, they can't. So then we'll get the little error message. We have to go in and have HP add it to the ticket. We have to tell UPS about it. But in the meantime, we've missed SLA and all the other stuff. The tech has to be redispatched. How do we close that out?
Part late.
Part late? No, I meant in the part disposition part. Is it as,
wrong car, or wrong.
when
Wrong
it says shipped to
address.
wrong site? Okay, that's what I'm making sure. Because I closed one out as tech never in possession of parts, he didn't have it.
Well, but
That's new.
logically, it wasn't shipped correctly, right?
Right.
Okay. So if it's not shipped to the right address, if he doesn't have any sort of responsibility for the part, he never had it,
Okay.
okay?
That's what I was asking.
So the next part of parts dispositioning is this end, right, where return status is yes, return tracking, and then did want to contact